Hi everybody. Today we continue in one verse in 1 week, and I'm going to read Psalm chapter 6 verse 9, which is the verse that we picked yesterday. Again, there is no background study. I just picked a verse and let's see what comes to mind and let's share with you guys. That's all it is. Sometimes it's very good to study the Bible in depth, and I do love doing that. Obviously, I'm in school for it. But sometimes it's just nice, just you and God and nobody's wisdom, no other scholar material, just see what God actually has to speak with us. Sometimes we focus so much in these Bible studies and what other people have to say and scholarly materials and whatever, that we end up focusing more on other people's opinions about the Bible and not what God actually wants to speak to us through it. So Psalm 6:9 says this: the Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. This is a psalm written by David, but it reminds me of the 3 youth that went with David up to Babylon. They were captives there, and they were supposed to bow down. Now they were esteemed in that land. They were very smart. They were separated for God, but they had to bow down in front of a statue made of the king's image. And whoever did not bow down, as you may know the story, would be burned. They would be cast in a fire and they would be burned. And everybody bowed down. There were other Jews there. They bowed down. And yet, these 3, they decided not to bow down. Where was Daniel? He was probably in political travels of some kind, because he worked for the government like they did. But they decided not to bow down. And one of the things that I just love about these 3 is that the king then threatened, if you don't bow down, remember, I'm going to throw you in the fire. What did they say? You know what? Our God is strong enough. He is powerful enough to come in to save us. And what I love about the most is that they continue on and they said, but even if he doesn't show up to save us from the fire, from the furnace, even if he lets us die, right? They said, even if he doesn't, we're not going to bow down to you. God is still God. We will still serve and be faithful to him. And these are in my words, of course. That's not in the words of the Bible. But it reminds me of this verse: the Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. There is such hope in this verse, and there's such firmness. There's such, they know that they know that they know. David here knows that he knows that he knows that God has received his prayer. He has heard his cry. It's hard sometimes when we're going through things. It's easy for us to just say, yeah, I'm going to pray and God's going to do his will. But when we're facing a furnace, it's hard for us to say, even if he doesn't, I'm still going to believe in him. It's hard for us to have unanswered prayers, and through those unanswered prayers still say, God heard my prayers, he heard my supplication, he's going to answer me. To have that hope, to have that knowledge, and be firm in the knowledge that God is really who he says he is, and he will show up for you just like he said he would show up for you. That is a new level of faith. I think we live in a time where faith is putting verses all around your house, and it's very happy-go-lucky. It's very Pinterest worthy, you know. Faith has become such a trend. And it's difficult to find people that through it all are able to, even when God doesn't show up, even through the middle of the mud of the furnace, he's still saying, you know what? I don't see him physically doing anything for me, but even if he doesn't, I know he heard my prayer. I know he heard my supplication, because it's not that I need God to show up and do something for me. It's that knowledge that I know who I serve. I am standing up on the rock. I am firm on the rock of my salvation. And I don't care how it looks around me, and I don't care how much the furnace is burning, and I don't care what people are saying. I know my God has heard my prayer. I know he has heard my supplication. I know who I serve. Period. I know who he is. And that hope of that salvation, that hope and knowledge and firmness of who God is, the person of God, keeps us going forward. It keeps us from falling apart. It keeps us, walking. It gives us strength to keep going. Because even though we may look around in our lives and see, well, I don't see him acting, but I know who he is. And so our hope becomes not in the things that he's doing or not doing for us, not in the things that are happening or not happening, or our emotions, but we put all of our faith, all of our hearts, our emotions, we put it in who he is. And when we trust who God is, no matter what, we are able to say, even through the furnace, even in the middle of it all, I know that he's going to come through for me. And even if he doesn't, he's still God. We are able to say, the Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. There's no shadow of a doubt. There's no what ifs, because we believe in the person of the Lord. We believe in who he is and his character, above what people say, above our emotions, above anything else. We believe in his character and who he is. That speaks louder than my doubts. That speaks louder than my fear. That speaks louder than anything else. It's really hard for us to be almost in the furnace, or seeing the furnace, feeling the heat of the furnace, and still believe in God, and still believe that he's going to show up, and still believe in his character. Usually people falter. It's normal. It's normal to be scared when we're by the furnace, when we're feeling the heat of life. It's very normal. It's very hard for us to still believe in his character. It takes tremendous faith. And you know what? That faith comes from experience, and that experience comes from problems. Every problem that we face, every furnace that we face, every tear that we cry, and we see God come through to our lives, strengthens our faith in his character of who he is. And so in the next time that you are going to face the furnace, you are able to remember the last time that you were there, and you're able to say, you know what? I know who he is, because I have experienced him, because I have seen him with my own eyes. I know that he is God. And even if he doesn't show up, he will still be God. The Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. No doubt about it. God bless you guys. Continue praying. Continue asking. Continue believing in the character of Jesus Christ, of God, a loving Father, a protective Father, a God that supplies for us, a God that in his presence, even sadness jumps with joy, a God that is there to wipe our tears and take away our pain. He will never leave us, and he will never forsake us. Believe in the character of who he is. not in your circumstances, not in your own power, not in what you are seeing with your human eyes. Believe in the character of Christ. Because if he said he was going to show up, if he said do not fear, if he said he was going to do it, he's going to do it. He is not a God who lies. That's part of his character. May God bless you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.